There we go. And I'm going to change the replay render over to the Z-42 game. Here we go. So one of the first things that we do is we take a look at the build of the player. So this is Pockington's friend. He's in the Z-42 tier 10 steel German destroyer. And he's choosing to take Main Armaments Mod 1, Engine Room Protection, Aiming Systems Mod 1, Propulsion Mod 1, Concealment Systems, and Main Battery Modification 3. This is perfect if you like to play a Destroyer Assassin build. So what you do is you spot somebody, especially if they pop their smoke, you get Hydra 1, you rush them, you get on their side, and then you just dumpster them with AP. Not a bad build there. Let's take a look at the captain. Hawk and or your friend is this Lutyens, Ghosto Toasto from What the Flock Streaming. Huh. This is indeed Lutyens. Okay. So that's important to know because obviously that has an impact on the overall setup, okay? Lutyens has buffed preventative maintenance. Instead of 30% risk of modules becoming incapacitated, it's 45% less. So that's really handy. In addition, of course, if you spot 3 ships, you get a heal. Main guns, you get a bonus to reload after a certain while. There's also a buff grease the gears, as you can see, so that helps too. Okay. Choosing X. Yes, Grunty?
I do not like this build.
Taking extra heavy ammunition, so your AP shells do more damage. Moving in, you've got Main Battery Anti-Air Specialist, and then Main Battery Anti-Air Expert. So this is Battery Reload, this is Main Gun Range, and then you've chosen Superintendent, Survivability Expert, and Concealment. Now, Grunty, why do you not like this build, sir?
On this big clumsy destroyer, not taking last stand is a bad idea.
So
no AR, Mungus.
That's
Grunty...
the second thing.
Mm-hmm.
But the AR is the much more crucial thing.
Grunty learned the hard way, not taking last stand on a destroyer.
I mean, it really depends on the destroyer you're playing. Like, you can get away with it in a very mobile destroyer, especially if you use rudder shift mod in slot 5, where it cuts down the repair time for the rudder, so you really only have to repair the engine.
Uh-huh.
The Z-42 is a clumsy ship that wants to get closer and also fight other destroyers, which means you will take a lot of damage in return, a lot of ships will be hitting you, and you will lose your engine and your rudder.
Okay. So, as Pock says, he's been telling his friend, take last stand, dude, you gotta. And he's just not. So, okay. We'll see if we can highlight any times when last stand would have been helpful. Another suggestion, in my opinion, I don't think you need the firing range on your main guns here. Personally, I feel like this ship is one of those where you're going to play much closer to your enemies, especially destroyers. You want to kill them. The negative with adding main battery firing range is it increases the range of your shells, which may seem like a positive, but once you've killed the target that's right in front of you, that gun bloom, that extra range, keeps you spotted by somebody next to him or a little bit farther off in the backfield, right? If you don't have this, you can shoot, assassinate a destroyer, and maybe go dark immediately afterwards because your gun bloom is much shorter or smaller.
I think it's fine because you have British smokes. The only thing that would prevent me from taking it is that the shells are very, very floaty at long range.
And that is the other part of it. Against battleships, you can try.
But what bugs me here is not taking Adrenaline Rush, but taking instead the Main Battery Specialist. You don't need to take a lot of damage to gain 5% reload speed. And then the Adrenaline Rush is already better. Plus it affects your torpedoes as well.
Right.
I would never take the Main Battery AA Specialist before I take Adrenaline Rush.
I would agree with that. I would definitely use Adrenaline Rush first.
Since you don't have a heal, you could even just drop the Superintendent and take both if you wanted to. Although I would drop the Superintendent and get the last stand, but
You lose the smoke, you lose the engine, you lose the hydro. Of those three, the smoke's probably the most important, but you already have 6 charges anyways. So
You have
now,
a lot of
okay.
charges, yeah. And you can extend the duration of the engine boost or the hydro by taking the coal mod, which I think if you invest so much steel for a steel ship, like Z-42 is steel, you might invest a bit of extra on the coal and get the special module for it.
The hydro module here in slot 3?
Or
is
speed
it 2?
boost, whatever you want.
Okay.
Slot
2.
On the other hand, if you don't take last stand, you don't want to tear up the range and protection room, so there is that.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
if he's not taking last stand, engine protection is better in this case.
It's not good enough to drop the last stand, though. Not on this ship.
But it's the best. It's the second best choice if he insists on not taking last stand.
True.
Right.
True.
So where would we put the final 2 points in this build then? Switfish?
You could extend the consumable duration.
This would be good too. Yeah. Your smoke,
You could
engine boost,
also-
and hydro.
You could also do the demo expert, honestly.
If you're shooting HE at all, yes. If you plan on being an AP specialist, which it looks like he is with his extra heavy ammunition, I think consumables might be the better choice.
Consumables.
If I was him in this, I would just... Like, if you want to focus on the AP purely, I would just drop the 2-point skill and the BFT and keep his range. I think there's a reason he takes the range, he likes it. Or you drop the heavy AP and the consumable enhancements to keep the range.
Yeah. Personally, this is how I would build it. If I were building a specific ship for the Z-42, which, by the way, could also work for the original tech tree German destroyers because their AP is pretty good too.
It's pretty much my exact build of the ZF6, with the exception of the consumable specialist. I have the demo expert there. They work really, really well together.
Mythic, I'm with you there. Russian, French gunboat destroyers, that's when you want the range. Okay.
I also take a slightly different build, but I think we've covered the builds long enough.
Let's move on to flags then. So this is a ranked battle, so you probably don't want to detonate, so you've got Juliet Charlie there. By the way, we know this is a ranked bronze game, so, you know, that's good to know, although I don't know that that's incredibly important for this game. You've got fire extinguishing time, you've got hydro time, smoke time, ship speed, consumables, and anti-air. That makes sense, I suppose, in ranked. You can see a tier 10 carrier, and that definitely ruins your day.
Yep.
I still wouldn't take it, though. There's little practical difference. Save that flag for something.
You know, I do agree with you. You might be better off dropping that for both of the fire chance flags, for example. Or...
You can also drop the smoke flag, because it doesn't do a lot on British smokes. It's like 1 second extra smoke time.
So you've got 12.1 seconds of action time right now. If you drop this flag, you go to 11 seconds. So, yeah, it's probably not that big of a deal.
Well,
He's got
Pockington,
hundreds of them.
You can also sell the flag. You'd honestly get more value out of selling it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would rather use them in this case.
Me too. All right, well, let's get to the replay and see what goes on. I'm going to run off-stream the Stream Raiders. So this is a ranked bronze, like you were saying. And you're up against a Kurfürst, a Schlieffen, a Colombo, Hindenburg, a Hargumo, and a Forrest Sherman. Oof on the Forrest Sherman, because he's got smoke and hydro too. You can't use your gimmick on him. You can use it on the Haragumo, though.
You can still use it on Sherman. You have 6 kilometer hydro, he has 5. So if you play your ranges really well, then Sherman will hate you.
I'd actually be more worried about the Haragumo than about the Sherman, to be honest.
Okay.
Because a Sherman you outspot by a decent margin, which will allow you to slow down and smoke up and be safe. Against the Haragumo, you are very likely to get spotted in return unless you catch him at a really good angle.
Okay.
Yeah, I will agree with Grunty here. Haragumo is more threatening if he is full concealment spec.
You thought the Sherman had radar for this game. Sherman cannot slot in radar. It has hydro. As said, it's a 5-kilometer hydro. The problem with that is if you're going straight in and you face spot the enemy destroyer, by the time you can turn out, that 1 kilometer gap or room to play with is gone. So in other words, you want to be moving sideways to the enemy destroyer. Yes, he is YOLOing into the middle. This is arms race.
Okay. This is actually fine here. He can, if he plays his range correctly, he can actually get there first and then use his, if he turns out the right moment, he can hydro trap any destroyers trying to take the cap.
Right.
It's actually really lucky matchmaking for him. Like, he's still the stealthiest destroyer, which is very, very rare in a Z-42. And there is no radar that could punish him from getting in there and getting the buff. Like, he can always get it and just smoke up and use that smoke to retreat again.
Right. Now, most destroyer players on this map, they will go to the buff and they'll go for the heal. So what I would recommend, right now your torps are on cooldown, I would recommend firing them right here at the edge of this island, maybe even a little bit closer in, just to surprise whatever destroyer might go for the middle of the map. Obviously, it means you run out of your torpedoes on reload, but...
Not at that island. I would fire it directly south, because that's the only way destroyers can come.
And look, there's the Haragumo.
I would have, by the way, also started this with HE loaded and not AP.
I'd go for AP loaded.
You do?
I would too.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because most of the time...
powerful.
Most of the time when destroyers meet, they turn out. They instinctively turn out. And that's when you can absolutely farm with AP. Let's watch what the Gumo does.
Correct, but if for the first shot, you probably don't have the angle. So I would start the first salvo HE, and if you see the turn, you can immediately switch.
But if you see, for the first shot, he was too busy lining up torpedoes than actually shooting his guns. So, in my opinion, it's fine having AP loaded. Boy, that Gumo died.
So, Grunty, the AP out DPMs HE so much, I would still recommend it.
Yes.
Like, it's worth the gamble.
I mean, yeah, maybe you're right, but the damage is really huge.
For the Z-42 it is. For, you know, like the tech tree, the original tech tree line, you know, I could understand the argument for HE first.
He's doing a good job kiting the Sherman away. Like, he's keeping just outside the Hydro, while hydroing him in turn.
But you're right now,
just suiciding.
The AP just does absolutely nothing at that right now. You realize that's good.
Yeah, he got too greedy there.
Speaking of greedy, look at the Schlieffen. Natural sheep. Typical sheep plays. But he totally surprised the Haragumo.
Yeah, I don't think this Haragumo had played against the German destroyer before. He probably had no clue what it was waiting for him there.
Nope.
I think Haragumo was just your average bronze Haragumo player.
Right, you know, you go in, you don't know what you're going to run into, you're just going in at full speed, even with engine boost on. You see an enemy, you freak out, you go into your torpedoes, and then you die. And that's what the Haragumo did on their side. By the way, Stream Raiders is up and running. Apologies for the delay there. Yes, sir.
Look at the shell penetration ribbons he's getting, like...
30 ricochets.
I get it, you have AP, you have respect for AP, but you're not getting anything out of the AP here. Like,
so...
60, like 3/4 of the shell, almost, it's like 60% of the shells completely bounce or shatter, and out of those that you actually penetrate, you're just getting over penetrations. And at this point, you do more damage with the HE.
I agree with you there. I think the problem with the ricochets, the overpens are hitting the superstructure, and that's going to overpen, that's guaranteed damage. The problem with the ricochets, I don't think he's aiming properly. He's snapshotting in, and he's looking around. He's not taking the time to see where his shells are falling and adjusting his aim so the shells are hitting the superstructure. They're hitting the turrets, which they're going to bounce. They're hitting the hull, they're going to bounce or shatter, whatever.
They can also bounce on the superstructure, though.
Yeah.
Because it's such a low caliber, like...
I just switched to AP. Like, AP is not worth it, he's too angled. And
This
is
is
that
honest-
scrolls moving?
It's honestly my whole problem with the ship. Like, the AP on paper is so good if you get the broadside, but if you don't get the broadside with the AP, that ship feels really, really lackluster.
Right? It's also
And in
unfortunate
this
you let
case-
yourself get spotted there too.
Nah, he had enough foresight to run away, which is good. But as Grunty said, he left a lot of potential damage on the table because he refused to acknowledge HE exists.
Agreed.
Don't
The
tell
other
me
problem
he's a
is-
white bar activist.
White bar activist. The other problem though is he's trying to get back into a shot on this Schlieffen. I really don't like this. The Yamato forces him closer to the Schlieffen. Not only that, but by going back this direction, you'll actually cross the Schlieffen's torpedo angle to that Yamato or the area. So you're putting yourself in higher risk of taking a Schlieffen torpedo here.
It's not only that, like, what if you go this way, what are you actually gonna shoot? Like, all their battleships are going towards the 2 line at this point, so you're just making your angles even worse.
Yeah, you don't want to chase a Schlieffen, and you're out of position to farm Kerr first. So what are you gonna do? Farm to Colombo that's at full health?
I don't mind the decision to go mid. I would have liked to seen him go behind the island at Delta 4 to get into that position so that he can safely get into mid. But with no destroyers on the enemy team, doesn't matter.
I don't think
Yeah,
mid
there's
is
no-
the right position right now. Not as long as the cap isn't actually there.
Yeah, I would agree there. Like, well, I guess he can farm to Schlieffen, but
Slow
the
down,
Brusen-
smoke first.
Brusen, I think, would have already farmed him, and if he went with the Brusen, he could have farmed that position anyways. I don't think this was worth the effort.
I hate when players do this. You're trying to get the damage in, and you're forcing the action. Slow down to 1/4 first, and then smoke. Because when you shoot and you're spotted, you show up on the minimap. Everybody on the enemy team knows that's where you are. They know your hit point situation, which is full right now. But if they know where you are, they can play around it. More importantly, that means the Schlieffen, the Kurfürst, and the Hindenburg know that you're not over on Echo 2, which could potentially cause all kinds of havoc to them. You are in the middle, they don't even have to worry about you.
Yep, and this smoke position's not good either. Like, Schlieffen's
No,
literally
like-
running behind the island.
Yeah, he's just going to W in
It's like
to
3
waste the
salvos
smoke
and then
screen.
be done.
Fortunately, Z-42 can afford to waste smokes like that, but this is just not optimal placement.
Right. Especially with Superintendent, you get that one extra. Fortunately, you have the ability to farm Kurfürst for a few seconds, but I wouldn't be sitting here anymore. I'd be moving farther south to try to get an angle on the Kurfürst, Hindenburg, or watch for the Colombo coming in from the south. I wouldn't stay in your smoke right now.
Yeah, you
I'm
are
going
the
strong
destroyer.
anyway.
And the
You're supposed
Schlieffen
to be
Rams.
scouting. Also, scroll zoom. Disappointment.
Zombringer Z, thank you very much for the follow. Don't forget to type ! ticket in chat to get in for our giveaway.
I would maybe just turn around here and grab that buff, because it's very unlikely that the battleships are going to get that.
Which reminds
I
me,
would go-
Draco never said anything. Oh god. CO. So,
yeah, I would go
Zombringer,
for the south cap.
I agree. I wouldn't go farther south here. This is the worst idea. The scroll zoom. So the problem with scroll zoom is it often makes it take longer for you to respond to something that's happening in the game. If you teach yourself to use the shift key to zoom in and out, it's a snap zoom at maximum range, okay, or zoom out at maximum range, and that's the key. If you're not doing that, it's just taking you extra time to zoom in and out, and it's also a little disorienting too.
Messes up the free look as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
All right, let's continue this while I go ahead and set up our next giveaway. It will be a CC container code.
like you're taking precious seconds to zoom in and zoom out. If you were if you're under combat, these couple of seconds, that extra second will build up. So
and you're right, Z-42 can be played without radio location. That is true.
Yeah.
He doesn't have radio location, so...
No, he doesn't, but I'm saying... What Zornbringer's saying is they can play with that. That's a useful tool for them.
I honestly wouldn't. You're pretty point-starved on that destroyer anyway. And the radio location makes your smoke trap less likely to happen.
Because the enemy destroyer knows that you're detecting them?
Yeah, and you're actually not in a position in this destroyer to actively hunt down enemies because you're too slow, too big, and too clumsy.
I'd actually disagree on that. Like, radio location does not tell you exactly it does not tell you the distance.
No, it doesn't tell you the distance, but it's still an alert for an enemy destroyer that they are close to most likely another enemy destroyer, which has a tendency to, or at least has the potential to make them play more cautiously.
Potential, but I would say it's not very high for the average person. And if someone knows how the Z-42 work, they're going to be cautious regardless. Because if you get stuck on that trap, you're going to regret life. So I don't see it making much of a difference. The main problem, I would say, is just you're point starved.
So I want to point out something too. Zornberger says you would know where the Columbo's going. That is very true in this experience. The other thing I would say is you're sitting on the corner and you're waiting for this Columbo to come out from the corner. Why aren't you going to pop your Hydro so you know exactly where this Columbo is? That would have been a good opportunity. I mean, I get it. The Columbo knows that you know where he is and it might make him change whatever. You don't necessarily care that the Columbo knows where you know that you know where the Columbo is. Look at this. Look at the team setup and everything like that. It's more important, I think, for your Yamato and Kerfers to know where that Columbo is, so they can angle accordingly. Your Yamato's about to die, by the way. He's just sailing full send straight south, and he's about to get RoboCop. So rip him. We all see it coming. The other thing I want to mention is I think you could really use to get in the habit of using the right mouse button to free look around instead of zooming out and looking with your mouse, and then zooming back in, and then zooming back out and looking with your mouse, and zooming back in and looking back out. Your poor gunners are like going this way, this way, this way, this way, this way. You never have your guns on the target that you want them to aim at. So look in the direction you want your gunners to be looking, hold down right mouse button, and then look around.
Maschinenboost aktiviert.
And oof, that didn't kill the Yamato.
How did you miss? Oh, right.
That's a Columbo. So that's what happens with a Columbo. Captain Ghost, thanks for the follow. Guys, make sure you type in !ticket to get in for our giveaway for a CC container.
I love how typical range this is. You have a Columbo that can't hit a Yamato at point blank. You have a Yoshino kiting off the map. You have battleships YOLOing into middle. Yeah, just everything you would expect from a stereotypical range game.
You got DDs killing themselves for arms race buffs.
Yes.
That was, by the way, super greedy to not fire auto.
Well,
yeah, I would have fired both. I would have fired both, honestly.
Patton is saying, nice saving a torp tube. Is it nice? I mean, look what's happened. The Columbo needs to die as soon as possible. Your Kerfurst is in trouble. This is the part of the game where everybody thinks it's won, so they just throw themselves away. Let's go back to that discussion about having the Columbo on Hydro earlier. Your battleships could have possibly set themselves up better. Also, you let yourself get spotted again before popping your smoke. Work on that, man. Smoke before you're going to get spotted, so they don't know exactly where you are, so you can shoot for free. They can't possibly be ready to shoot you and take out, 50% of your hit points, which could be a good thing if you got Adrenaline Rush, but you don't.
Columbo was way too close and was way too unbelievable to dodge that top salvo anyway there.
Columbo couldn't dodge, that's true.
It's also bronze. I don't expect them to dodge very well.
And saving that salvo just cost your Kurfürst hit points because the Columbo got an additional salvo off.
Bingo!
The Kurfürst deserved it. He needs to die so Z-42 can farm more damage.
I mean, if you farm more damage, you have more impressive in-battle report screen.
Yes.
And that's what it's all about, right? You want that XP.
Exactly. Why win a game with 1500 EXP when you can win it with 2.5k EXP?
So I'm gonna pause for a sec. Casualty Drinker says something in chat that I think is important. He said, the only reason you let him spot you is for the smoke fire penalty. What he's saying is, if you think that the battleship is gonna shoot at you, let yourself get spotted, let yourself get shot at, and now the Columbo is perma-detected for 20 seconds afterwards while you are safe in your smoke and not detected. Yes, I do generally agree with that if you are in a one-on-one engagement with the Columbo. But he wasn't in that one-on-one engagement. As a matter of fact, he was shooting happily, mind you, at the Yamato and Kurfürst. So both of those ships are going to absolutely detect the Columbo anyways, even if Columbo's in his own smoke or he's in the Z-42 smoke. But normally I agree with you. That does make sense.
Why are you running off the map here? You should be in middle, just keeping an eye on that enemy Kurfürst in case he decides to come out. But you're no longer safe. You're trying to hit a Hindenburg you can't possibly hit.
And you're not going to kill the Hindenburg. You're not even going to detonate the Hindenburg with AP. So, I agree with SAT. You are the goalie. Let me break the camera free, dude. Let me show you exactly where you should be right now. Okay? If I were you, I would try to get myself to about here. Alright, and I realize SAT, it's going to take you about 10 seconds to catch up. But if you're about here... Huh?
I would say a little bit further back, but yeah, it's the same general idea. The idea is to have spotting it somewhere in that ring, because you want to keep track of that Kurfürst.
You want to know where the Kurfürst is going, you want to know where the Hindenburg is going. If you're in trouble, you just hit W and do this. Bye! And you're behind cover, right? But you need to be that threat.
I would actually be on the south side of it.
You could do that, sure.
If you can manage to get there in time, which you couldn't.
That's the hard part with the Kurfürst YOLOing in. But look at this, dude. If you were right here, you could be torping the Kurfürst full torps, hit W. Who cares if he's got Hydro or not? He's gonna take at least a couple torps. More importantly, it also takes his eye off the ball of your own Kurfürst, who is, by the way, sitting broadside and taking it all because of that.
Are you sure you want widespread?
Good.
Okay, yep, good choice of AP here. This is where Z-42 shines.
That is a way too big gap between the torpedoes though.
I think you fired him too early. Wait until you know what the Kurfürst is going to do after he kills your Kurfürst.
Oh, aim for the bow, aim for the bow.
So, you're hitting the superstructure, but the bow is going to do more damage. You'll get full pens that way. You could also aim for the stern, but right now, definitely aim for the bow. Also, what are you doing?
I think that was the... I'm mad that my torpedoes were so far apart from each other.
Honestly, dude, you were better off just YOLO charging the Kurfürst. He's so focused on the enemy Kurfürst, you could have torpedoed him at point-blank range and sunk him with everything.
Right now,
that
like...
been risky, to be honest.
Now it's risky. Back then, I think you could have done it.
Not with Last Stand. And speaking of Last Stand...
Oh. Speaking of Last Stand, here's where it would be helpful. Absolutely. Barkosigan, I'm glad to hear that you enjoy this kind of analysis. I do have a YouTube channel where most of my replay analysis does exist. So feel free to check that out if you want. And, you know, look up pretty much any ship you want. I've got... Chances are I've got that ship you're struggling with. If you don't see the ship you're struggling with and you would like some help, dude, send me a replay of you playing. Yes, 6 kilometer hydro is oof. Now, I will warn you. I will warn you. You send me a replay where you die. We will stop the replay. We will take a picture of you dying.
There is too much of a gap between torpedoes again.
Oh, these are 100% panic torpedoes. Oh hell, I'm dying, and that's just it, right? So, yeah, too much going on there. Let's see if I can find a better shot. Actually, I think I might let this go for it.
That island north of you catches a lot of destroyers. And unfortunately, you are not going to be the last victim.
No. Okay, well, that's better.
Actually, from that angle, it doesn't even look that bad. I might
The
not
torch
be
thread?
kept the core first, yeah.
Well, let's see what happens. Look, Mom, no hands. We are following the Z-42 player's camera movements at this point. He's watching himself sink. Now, the Kerr first had Hydro on, so you know he's going to dodge most of the hate coming in his way.
Oh, there's the gap.
You get one torpedo hit on the bow, it's going to cause a flood. You've done 145,000 damage. Not too bad.
World of Warships 2016. Interesting name.
Oh, the name, the Yoshino player? Yeah.
Yes.
Why is that Yoshino Beach there?
It's a Yoshino.
It's a Yoshino. Oh, at least he finishes the Kerfers with torpedoes. Now it's up to the Hindenburg and the Yoshino. My guess is the Hindenburg's in the A cap, he's going to cap it, and Yoshino is too busy stuck broadside and can't go anywhere to make anything happen. Rip.
Yeah, I think the red team is going to win it on points.
Red?
Sounds about
Yeah.
accurate.
Now you're going to save your star. Sorry, SAT, go ahead.
154k damage, 2 kills. Yeah, you should be able to save your star, especially since you crap out of their destroyers.
Speaking of Last Stand, I was actually going to get rid of Last Stand on all my destroyers, but unfortunately, submarines overload DCP, so I shot that out. I shot down that idea.
That
Bomb down.
would have been a terrible idea.
Actually, it wouldn't because of survivorship bias.
If that Yoshino was ready to fire his guns at the Hindenburg while he was capping, this could have been a different game. Yoshino has to YOLO in now. There's no choice left for him. Now, you're dead. There's really not much that you can do about this, and this is the other part of, that comes from being in a bad position and letting yourself die. Whether you realize it or not, you allowed yourself to die by letting the Kerfers charge you with Hydro active and then beaching yourself. So, it is what it is. But now you're stuck sitting there watching.
It's like your Kerfers would have lived a little bit longer had you used those set of torpedoes against the Colombo.
Yep.
Then a little bit better choices on the torpedoes against the Kurfürst could have killed that Kurfürst.
Yep.
It's like the typical game from a, let's say, average player who thinks they did well, but they don't play particularly bad. I don't want to say that, but they definitely missed the opportunity to win the game.
Oh, this is Yoshino widespread?
The first one. Second one's narrow and therefore misses, which is hilarious.
Classic Yoshino play.
If you put this on YouTube, you should title it Missed Opportunities.
I love it, thank you. As long as you don't swear, we're good.
Well, we still have a few minutes to catch up.
I know.
No, name it.
Shh.
Also,
Name it.
Shh.
Name it Miss.
Oh no! Oh no! He's got AP loaded! Oh, there he goes!
classic Yoshino play. So besides the missed opportunities, I think his positioning was subpar. Past the early game was really good when he caught out both destroyers, but he didn't really capitalize on spotting in the mid and late game. Like, I don't think he got any significant spotting at all, to be honest.
No, and let's look at your spotting damage. Where is it? Damage upon your spotting. Only 18,000. Dude, you're a destroyer? You need to be spotting for your team? That is horrendous spotting damage. That is...
I mean,
so,
let's be honest, though. I don't think he could have gotten much spotting damage there. Like, they killed the destroyers at the start, and then the battleships, the Hindenburg, they were all behind this island on the A cap. Like, there's no realistic chance he could have got any spotting damage on them until the end, where they pushed through the A cap.
That's what I'm talking about right there.
But by that time, it was only the Kufris left that could have shot them, because the Yoshino was completely out of position. So there was not much opportunity to get spotting damage.
So Raptor says that Yoshino that physically hurt to watch. Yes, we've all been there. The problem is with you dead. All you can do is spectate. You can try to coach or coax the guy in the last ship to do something different, but that may or may not work. Unfortunately, with you gone, you have no more input in the game, really, unless you want to try to mess with the Hindenburg. The Hindenburg, by the way, won it for that team. It's crazy to think about.
Classic games that is up for anyone for grabs, and unfortunately, yeah, you missed the chance. You definitely had it.
You had it. Unfortunately, your Yamato decided to just YOLO into the middle.
Yeah, that didn't help either.
This happens a lot of times in the game. They think because they got the first 2 kills, the destroyers are dead. Yay, we could just go in now. It doesn't really work that way, unfortunately. And we see that happening here. Base, what if that Yoshino rammed? If the Yoshino rammed, it goes down to who has the most points at that moment. Assuming both ships died.
In other words, the Hindenburg still wins.
Correct.
I don't think there is even a chance for the Yoshino go for the ram.
No.
Because the Hindenburg had enough hit points to allow himself showing a little bit broadside and get the torpedoes off at close range.
Right. So this is the replay render, and you can see from a top-down perspective everything that's happening, when you had opportunities, when you didn't, and we'll try to highlight those for you. The big thing, I think, is once those battleships left, it really felt like you weren't quite sure what you wanted to do. And so you said, well, I'll just go farm. And that's fine as long as, somebody else is spotting enemies for you to shoot at.
Except he didn't even farm. Like, there was nothing to farm there.
That's what I'm getting at.
Right here in the mid game, because he was positioned in mid, there is nothing he could do to stop the curve first and Hindi from just pushing in. They would have most likely pushed in, and if he got a couple hits with his torpedoes, that could have stopped their push. But then again, Colombo would have been free to just walk into mid and blow up Yamato for free. So it's kind of a dang if you do, dang if you don't.
It really is unfortunate that the enemy Schlieffen was able to ram your Preußen, because your Preußen was pretty healthy and takes him down. I paused the render right here for a sec, because this is the part where you really should be using Hydro. You need to see outside of the island. You need to see what this Colombo is doing. Honestly, if you're aware of the Yamato right now, I might also be saying, Yamato, dude, back off. But it is what it is.
Yeah, I'd also consider getting to position to rush the Colombo. Because
I was considering that too, but the problem is he doesn't have the Torp Alpha to actually execute that.
Right now he does.
Would have been close. I think it would have been close enough. He just shoots
a
couple
80. He has like, what is it, 13,000 damage on the Torps times 8?
Yeah.
Is 104,000.
It's not going to kill him in one shot, but in theory, with the curve first secondaries and Yamato...
But here, look at the curve first hit points. Look how they drop on this last salvo that came in from the Colombo.
Yep.
Like, not firing both of these torpedo sets cost the curve first a quarter of his hit points.
Mm-hmm.
And I think your decision to go up north screwed your curve first of any sort of spotting. So he couldn't get the jump. He could not get the jump on their curve first. You weren't in a good position. You got blocked by a C5 island, and Zath gets to get his death pick.
Yeah, and these two torpedoes, that torpedo launch was not good. Too early, too far spread apart, and then, I mean, the last one was like, just get it off before I die.
Right, and
there's
Hawk, to go to your statement of, well, this is his teammates, you can absolutely blame some of this on your teammates, sure. But at the end of the day, you can only control what you did. And so I think it's important for you to look back at this game and say, what could I have done differently? And you're hearing that right now in chat.
Yes. Like, think of it this way. Are good players good players because of their teammates, or is it because they can carry their teammates?
You can put this argument the other way around. Like, the enemy team had 2 horrible destroyers that died in like the first 3 minutes of the game.
Yep.
So,
But, and he did a good job of punishing them. But he dropped the ball in the mid game, and that's unfortunately what contributed to the loss. There's not that much, like, there's a couple of little things he could have done that would have given him the victory over a defeat. And that's what we're trying to correct. Like, it's not always the big plays that makes the difference between victory and defeat, but sometimes it's just these little mistakes that start adding up, which can switch it from victory to defeat and vice versa. And if you can improve on these little things, that's how you become good.
Right. Anyways, Pock, hey, thanks for sending this one on behalf of your friend. Hopefully we gave some good feedback there, and it's definitely something for your friend to listen to think about. Those of you guys who are new to the channel, this is what this replay theater is all about. So if you've got replays that you'd like some help with, there's my Discord link. Feel free to join it. We don't bite. We don't make fun of you for making dumb decisions. Our goal is to simply help everybody improve in this game. And that's what a call comes down to. Actually, your Preußen was quite low when he got the ram off. Anyway.
Yeah, he got farmed by that Hindenburg and Kurfürst.
Yep,
too.
Looked like it.
Like, that Yoshino didn't help the Preußen there either, like...
No, he's way too far back.
That was...
It is what it is. Hey, at least he saved a star.
He definitely had bad teammates. Like, there is no doubt about that.
Right.
But so did the red team.
Yes, exactly. So, you know, and that's something, Grunty, you sometimes kind of call off. I know you're looking up stats and stuff like that. The same kind of players are on our team too. So, you know,
of course they are.
Right. So I think it's important to keep in mind that in Warships, there are people of all skills and abilities on all teams. So once again, focus on you. What can you do to make it better? All right, guys, we're going to move